All right, everyone, welcome to Your Sacred Reinvention Week. I am kicking this week off by telling you all about the program that I've created called Your Sacred Reinvention, because I really want everyone who is in this group to understand that this is a opportunity for you to experience what it's like to work with me in this capacity, to work with me in this type of a setting with these types of tools, with this type of an intention, especially if you have known me in a previous context as an academic life coach, or you're new to this inner work, you're new to this kind of spiritual work, you're new to the sacred feminine, you're new to shadow work, you're new to sensual and emotional practices, and really connecting to our bodies as women. Because I know that when we're making an investment, sometimes it can be really helpful. And it can create a lot of safety when we know what we are getting ourselves into, when we understand the practices that we're going to be embodying, and also when we understand the person who is leading us. So I'm going to just start off and just like give you the lowdown on the program to begin with. And then I'm going to share how this program came to be, because it was through my own sacred reinvention over the past 3 years that the format, the foundational principles of the program really got built out. So Your Sacred Reinvention is a group slash one-on-one hybrid program. What that means is that there are group elements to the program, as well as an opportunity to get one-on-one coaching and support with me over the course of 7 months. So this program is a 7-month program that is designed to help you to become the woman who finds her power in the messy middle. Now, what does that mean? So, what I found is that whenever we set a goal, whether that goal is to achieve something or the goal is to become someone, you're going to essentially be initiating yourself into the process of becoming, the process of change. And there is a point in that process of change, which I call the messy middle. It's also been referred to as the pit of despair if you've been in my world for a little while. And if you're into any sort of sacred feminine mythology, or you understand the heroine's journey, that was developed by Maureen Murdoch, then you understand that there is an underworld that comes with us deciding that we are no longer going to be conforming to who it is that we thought that we needed to be, or think that we need to be, based off of society standards. And I found in the almost 9 years of work that I've done with women that most women tended to quit when they got to the underworld, when they got to that messy middle, when they were in the space where they weren't who they were anymore. They've sort of denounced that. They separated themselves from that identity, but they also weren't the new identity yet. And that space in between can get really murky. It can feel really uncomfortable. A lot of self doubt creeps in this space. Your life can feel like a hot mess. There's a lot of loss and grief in this stage as well. I often find that we get initiated into the underworld, we get initiated into this messy middle due to a loss, whether it's a loss of an identity, a loss of how we thought our life was going to go. That was my story, and I'll share a little bit about that in a second. um, a loss of an actual person, a loss of a dream, a breakup, right? We get initiated through loss, through a separation, through a death that happens. And again, that death can be like a literal death of like a person, or a um an animal, but it can also be a symbolic death, an ending of something, right? That we have held dear or had like deep relationships with. So in this phase, I also found that a lot of women started questioning, like, is this really for me? Am I making the right decision? Oh my gosh, like, am I just screwing everything up? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what it is that I want anymore. And that space can feel very disoriented. And what we're seeking in that space is we're wanting to find some sort of certainty. And what most of us do is that we start to look for that certainty outside of ourselves. We start to try to look for like a solution. and usually that solution is coming in the form of like some physical thing that we're desiring. In the work that I did with women in college, would show up a lot in them wanting like a perfect planner or like a perfect study plan or something like that in order to feel some sense of control, because this part of your becoming can feel very much like you are out of control. It can feel like you're in this spiral, and it's intended to be this way, because this is what nature does. This is what what every species, everything that exists in this world, even the moon, goes through this death process. But we aren't given the language for this. We also aren't given the stories and the mythology and the understanding of this anymore, which is why it feels so scary, and why our immediate thought process is something has gone wrong. Like, what I'm going through is not right, and I need to hurry up and figure out how I can fix this and get back to how things were, or move beyond where it is that I am right now. And what I want women to understand, and the sacred knowledge that I want them to have, is that the messy middle is where the magic happens. The messy middle is where you become. And when you learn how to navigate, right? How to like excrete and draw out all of the wisdom and the knowledge and the juice out of this messy middle, when you can really learn how to dance with it, that is when you step into your power. That is when you build true certainty, true safety, true knowingness, because it's coming from the depths of you and not from something outside of you that could be taken away at any moment in time. And what's so funny is that when our power is external, or our control is external, or our sense of certainty is external, when it gets taken away, it throws us into an underworld. And I believe that the reason why that happens is so that we can learn how to build that safety within ourselves. So, one of the things that I want you to understand with this program is that it's not a program where you come and everything is going to be shiny and perfect, and it's going to be this like package transformation where everything that you go through is very easy and simple. This is the underworld. Like, we are gonna go through it, because that is what happens when you decide to change. Okay, when a caterpillar, its DNA decides it's going to become a butterfly, everything breaks apart. It goes into its cocoon, the underworld. It kind of like dies, right? The caterpillar in its old form dies. There is a death that happens. The underworld for the caterpillar is when it's inside of the chrysalis, it's complete goo, and it's transforming into the butterfly. So you're going to go through it. And I like to be very upfront with people, because this is what makes people quit. This is what doesn't allow you to fully become the woman it is that you want to be, is that when you're in the chrysalis, when you're in the underworld, when you're in this space in between, the messy middle, there's so much going back and forth and going back and forth and like push and pull. You don't fully surrender into the process and belief that at the other side of this is this beautiful life, is the woman it is that you want to become. But when you're fighting it because you think this shouldn't be happening, when you're fighting it because you think it shouldn't be this hard, when you're fighting it because you think maybe I'm not cut out for this, when you're fighting it because you're filled with self-doubt and you don't know how to alchemize that, you never become, right? It's as if if the caterpillar in its goo state tried to come out, it would die. And our dreams die when we try to exit the messy middle. Our becoming dies when we try to exit the messy middle. So this program is meant to help you stay in the messy middle and learn how to use the shadow aspects that will come up during this. And by shadow, what I'm talking about is just like all the messy pieces that like you don't want anybody to see, that you don't want anybody to know about, the hard bits that you rather not talk about because you think that if you do, then it makes it look like you don't have your shit together, right? The shadows are going to come up here. Your self-doubt is going to come up here. Your insecurities are going to come up here. And I'm going to show you through this program how to actually turn your shadows into the reason why you become, into the reason why you will achieve what it is that you desire. You are going to understand your power here. And when I talk about power, when I'm talking about women's power, what I'm talking about is your ability to know that you've got yourself no matter what. That at the end of the day, you're going to choose to believe in yourself no matter what. That is what power to me is. It's your ability to be grounded in who the fuck you are, no matter what is going on around you. And to do that, you have to understand who you are. And the way that we understand who we are is through the unbecoming, the messy middle. This is where the magic happens. This program is designed to help you to turn what appears as a mess. Okay, when the caterpillar is a goo inside of the chrysalis, it's a mess. But that mess is what creates magic, and that's what this program is about. So, who is this program for? So, this program is for the woman who's tired of stopping and starting and is tired of always getting stuck in the middle of the reinvention, never fully actualizing her becoming, never stepping over that edge into the woman it is that she desires to be. If you're holding yourself back for whatever reason, if you're starting and stopping, if you're not allowing yourself to fully go in, if you're fighting the process of change, it's for the woman who's ready to stop running from the hard parts and is ready to start showing up for herself fully, even when it's messy, even when it's hard, even when it doesn't look like how she imagined it was going to look like in her mind. It's for the woman who knows that she's capable of more, but just needs someone to guide her through the moments that make her want to quit. Okay. So, Your Sacred Reinvention, the program, is a 7-month journey into the depths of who you are and who you're becoming. It will show you how to embrace the messy middle, the goose stage, the underworld, the pit of despair, to embrace the raw, unpolished, beautifully chaotic parts of your transformation and allowing them to shape you, surrendering to the process to see who is underneath that. Underneath that is the woman you've always known that you could be. Most of us never meet that woman because we don't allow her to emerge. We are always breaking open the chrysalis. We're always being asked to be saved from the underworld. And that is where you are made. That is where the woman that you desire to be so badly freaking steps up and is like, here I am. I got us. But most of us don't allow her to break open, to break free, to come out because we think that something has gone terribly wrong. No, how we birth her is through the mess, just like in the birthing process. I keep using all of these analogies because I want you to see that baked into this program are the mysteries of life, death, and rebirth. What already exists in nature. Nature already has communicated to us that this process exists. The moon goes into the underworld every single month when it goes into its dark moon phase, and then it emerges as the full moon. We are experiencing it right now. If you're in, a place that has all 4 seasons, the trees are dying and falling and are going into their underworld. When a woman is giving birth, her underworld is the contractions in that space in between where the baby's not quite here yet, but it's coming. She's about to birth it, right? And again, this program isn't about you pushing harder. It's not about you doing more. It's not about you hustling. It's not about you proving yourself. It's about learning how to navigate lifing. It's about learning how to navigate the doubts that our brain naturally is going to have. It's about learning how to navigate the fear, knowing how to navigate the moments of, is this even working? Is this going to happen? Right? And feeling strong and proud and in control of those moments because you're choosing it on purpose, because you understand that at the other side of this is everything it is that you want. And when you have choice, when you know what's coming, it turns the pain into pleasure. I promise you. I promise you, okay? For 7 months, I'm going to guide you through the same raw, real process that I used to reinvent myself time and time again. The first time was when I went from failing out of over 7 classes, being told I was stupid to my face, to becoming a student who earned honors, and then went off to teach other students how to do it. And colleges and universities were using my content and asking me to come and teach their students, right? The reinvention after that was when I went from being a nurse to being a full-time academic life coach. When I became a mother And then most recently, this transformation that most of you have been witnessing and probably curious about what happened, what ignited that, what initiated you into this most recent reinvention where I am deep in this work and birthing this body of work into it. I'm going to share that full process in a second. This program is not about you having everything figured out or pretending that everything is shiny and easy. It's about knowing how to show up, how to trust yourself deeply, and keep moving even when life feels uncertain, because it's going to, because that's life, right? And you're no longer going to be fighting that. You're no longer going to be fighting the lack of clarity it is that you have. You're going to know that it is being in that, surrendering to it, understanding that it's part of the process, that you're going to become unstoppable. This woman that you're desiring to be, she's already inside of you, waiting for you to unleash her, waiting for you to let her be seen, waiting for you to birth her in the mess. Okay. So what you're going to get as part of this program is you are going to get a foundational course that I'm going to be recording in the program. And the first pieces of it are going to be released on October 31st. It's called the Sacred Journey of Becoming Foundational Course. And this is where I'm going to teach you in more in depth the process of becoming with the concept of alchemy and metamorphosis, right? The transformation process. I'll walk you through, what the 7 gateways are that we're going to be journeying through, that are part of the heroine's journey, that are part of the life, death, and rebirth mysteries, that are part of the cycle of becoming, all of that, right? So you're going to get that foundational course so that you understand what this process is, and that you can really integrate it, embody it, understand it, and like have this knowledge for the rest of your life. And my hope is that one day you will pass it down to your kids, especially if you have um children who identify as being a woman and who are being raised or socialized as women. Understand this process. There is going to be monthly shadow work rituals. And so each month is going to follow this process where it's going to be a shadow work ritual / ceremony. And I'll talk to you about why that's important in a second. There's going to be sensual and emotional alchemy practices, which is basically just us using our body to create and manifest and also process what's happening for us in the messy middle. There's going to be group coaching calls so that we can all come together and share. And I'll talk about why that's important. And then there's also going to be 1 week a month where we don't have any group calls, we don't have any practices, we don't have any ceremonies. It's just time for you guys to schedule one-on-one coaching calls with me so that I can hone in on where you specifically are in your journey. And I'll talk about why that's important in a second as well. So the reason why we start with monthly shadow work rituals is because the process of transformation, or the process of rite of passage, always begins with a shedding process, a death process, a separation process. And so in order for us to build, in order for us to create, there has to be a death. The trees die so that new flowers can be born. Okay. The maiden dies so that the mother can be born. We tear down buildings before we build another one on top. There's always a destruction that comes before creation. Each of the months inside of the program are designed to be a descension into yourself. And we're going to be following the chakra systems. And each of them has a shadow side. And we're going to be using the shadow sides of each of those chakras to help lead and guide these rituals. And every single person and every single woman inside of the program is going to have a different aspect of their shadow side that they're going to be working through. And these rituals are designed to help you meet that part of yourself, meet your shadow, and also release it so that we can, number one, make peace with our shadow. When I say that we're releasing it, I don't mean in the sense that like we're, setting it aside and pretending that it doesn't exist. No, I'm going to show you how to take that shadow and turn it into the reason why you will achieve everything it is that you desire. Within it, we're going to alchemize it. We're going to use what's there to create and build something new. But a shedding has to happen. A death has to happen. It's similar to like when you're creating chemicals, right? You put the chemicals into the crucible, or like, the chemical jar, whatever, whatever it is. And the old ingredients that were there die off and they create something new. It's very similar to that. So there's going to be ceremony and ritual to kick us off every single month. Um, each ritual will help you to face what's holding you back, and help you to finally be able to move forward, because you're going to turn it into the reason why you can and the reason why you will succeed. Excuse me. Um, okay, so I talked about the monthly shadow work. Then there's going to be monthly sensual and emotional alchemy practices. So this is where I'm going to teach you how to run energy through your body. Essentially what I mean by that, when I talk about energy, I'm talking about emotions a lot of the time, because emotions are just energy in motion. So I'm going to teach you how to reconnect with your body and learn how to, in real time, embody the version of yourself who can handle anything. Sensual alchemy is about you being able to feel what it is like to be her now. It is also a way that we use the body to release old stories and narratives and beliefs that are not in alignment with who it is that we want to become. Because in this process of becoming, what's happening is we are shifting the way that you're thinking, we're shifting the way that you're feeling, and we're shifting the way that you're behaving, because all of those are what create your identity. They were created your old identity, and we're trying to create a new identity. So in that messy middle, you're going to need these practices to support your nervous system, to get your body on board with where it is that we're going, to help you to navigate the moments where you're in self-doubt, to help you to navigate the moments where it fucking sucks and you just want to quit. This also teaches you how to create safety within your own body. We're going to be doing a lot of work with the root chakra, these lower aspects of our body that if you were socialized as a woman in a Western society, we were taught that this part of our body, our yoni, our vagina, like our womb space, our even our like belly space, is like this thing that we should not be connected to. This thing that is like dirty and yucky and like makes us sinful and like naturally just icky creatures. But the reason why they told us that is because this is actually where a lot of our power lives. This is how we feel safe no matter what is happening. And a woman who feels safe, a woman who is grounded, a woman who is rooted, she cannot be easily manipulated. She cannot be easily coerced. And our culture doesn't want that, right? So we're going to be doing a lot of root work here in the program through these sensual and emotional alchemy practices. Sometimes they will be like movement in your body. That's one of the practices that I'm going to be taking you through on Tuesday. But other times it's things like emotional freedom technique. Other times it's just like these practices of just like doing mirror work, etc. So one of those practices will be happening every single month as well. And then once a month, we will meet as a group. So all of the 13 women that are inside of the program, we will meet to do group coaching, to share. And the reason why this is important is because we were not meant to heal alone. And we don't. Okay. Part of the process of healing and part of the reason why we feel so disconnected and why we feel so doubtful of ourselves and there's so much uncertainty is because we're all just wanting to be seen. That's what every single one of us wants, is to be seen and to be told that the way that we are and the things that we've gone through and the things that we're experiencing make sense. That only happens in community, when you're with other people who help it make sense, who are seeing you in the process. And we used to do this as a society. Up until 2000 years ago, like ceremony and ritual was a key part of our culture. We made sense of the world around us. There were rites of passages. There were things that we were supposed to be taught and things that were supposed to be memorialized and things that were supposed to have significance that we've lost as a society. And a lot of it has to do with us coming in and being witnessed by our community, being seen in our process of becoming, and for people to say, like, I see you, I see what you're going through, I understand what it is that you're experiencing. This is normal. This is life happening right in front of you. And so that's the reason why the group coaching is a part of it. It's because, especially as women, we need it. We have such deep sisterhood wounding. We have such deep mother wounds. We need to be seen by other women, be held by other women, be in conversations with other women, sharing our stories with other women. This is the way that it was supposed to be. And then lastly, we're going to have a week where it's just one-on-one coaching calls. So all of the women in the program will meet with me individually, one-on-one. And the reason for this is because even though I have this framework for the process of becoming, right? And it's just the life, death, and rebirth cycle. It's the heroine's journey. It's like mythology and Nana's descent into the underworld. Like, this is what it's all based off of. The chakra systems, it's seven, like it's built with ancient wisdom within it. And what I want you to know is that you may not become in the 7 months, because that's not how these mysteries work. Every single one of you is going to be in a different stage of this becoming process while you're going through this program. And I want to be able to meet every single one of you exactly where you are and be able to support you exactly where you are, so that where you are makes sense. This is what I mean by finding your power in the messy middle, honoring where it is that you are, really surrendering into it so that you can actually become who it is that you're desiring to be. And again, every month follows that flow. We kick off with the shadow work ceremony. We dive into the essential practices, because things are going to come up, and I want you to be able to know how to move that energy through your body so that it doesn't get stuck, and so that it doesn't get spit out on other people in ways that are not safe, in ways that are not helpful, in ways that are not supportive to who it is that you want to become. And you're also going to get stuff from people coming at you. And I want you to be able to not take it on as your own, and have boundaries and understand what is yours and what is theirs. So that's why those practices exist. Then we're going to connect in community, and then everyone's going to receive personal coaching every single month. So it'll follow that process. So the journey is going to look like exactly how I described the journey of becoming in my free masterclass that I did, how to reinvent yourself in a year, which I already put into the circle portal for anybody who is new, and that's going to be our focus for tomorrow. I'll send out an email just reminding you that's what you should be watching, what we should be doing over these 5 days, so that you can understand what that journey. It's really a spiral, because you're gonna become over and over and over and over for the rest of your life. This is the ride we are on, baby. This is what we signed up for when our little soul was like, yes, I want to come to earth. This process of becoming, you're going to be in it forever. And this is why I want to teach you guys how to dance with it, how to surrender into it, how to like, just let it be so good, and like, just let it like shape you. Right. Um, so we're going to have like an initiation. We're going to open the portal. The program starts on November 3rd. Month one, we're going to focus on your decision. This is where you're going to decide who it is that you want to become, or what it is that you want to create in these 7 months together. And the moment that you make that decision, the moment that you decide who you want to be and what you want to create, get ready, because that is like your initiation into the underworld. Immediately, the world, your environment, the people in your life are going, like, everything is going to start shifting and shaping to help you to become that woman. You're going to have experiences and conversations and opportunities, and all these things happen. And you're going to think, what the F is going on? I didn't ask for this. Why does everything feel like it's falling apart? Or it can go the opposite way, where you're getting all these opportunities and you feel overwhelmed by it. It's because these things are coming in to help you to develop the skills, the thinking, the feeling, the behaviors, the way of being, so that you can actually become the person who can have that, hold it, create it, etc. So, which is why month two is all about releasing the stories, right? The beliefs and the patterns. Then we're going to reclaim, right? We're going to decide who we're going to be, and we're going to start speaking as her, understand the way that she thinks, understand the way that she feels, right? Then you're going to, you're going to you're going to be in the underworld. So you're going to have a lot of feelings come up. And, month 3, 4, and 5, what you experience in that session. It's not like it's like a sequential type of thing. This is the reason why I say everybody's journey is different. You might be in month in the this decision for 3 months, while someone else in the group might be in like the movement stage by month one. Everybody's journey is going to be different, but everyone is going to go through one of these phases, go through all 7 of these phases at some point. Um, but this After we do that, we reclaim, you're going to, do the feelings, you're going to start acting like her. This is where you're just like, you already have the clarity, you already know what to do, and you're doing. And then in the doing, things are going to happen. So you're going to have, the practices to help support you with that. And then I'm going to teach you how to savor it, how to really like not miss this part, because this is what, when you look back, you're going to be like, damn, like, look at everything it is that I went through. Look at everything I overcame. Like, I am a fucking badass. Like, damn, that was all me, right? This is how we end up there. And then the being is when your identity is so locked in, you know exactly who you are and you're unwavering in that. The messy middle is where you discover who this woman is. This is what this entire program is discovered for. My daughter might knock on the door, by the way, because she was out with her dad. And I think they just got back home. So she's knocking on the door. Adelina, mommy will be right out, okay? Okay. So the program starts on November 3rd. It runs through June 30th. There are 13 spots. The investment for the program is $2,000 if you decide to pay in full. There is also a 6-month payment plan, which is $333.33. And that is essentially what the program is. So if you have questions, you can drop them in the chat. But what I want to do now is I want to talk a little bit about how I created this program or why. I'm going to share like very intimate details about my reinvention journey, which has been a 3-year process. And the other day I was like, why was my underworld so long? And I think the reason is because I really needed to understand this process so that I can teach it. So in August of 2021, I was my daughter was a year and like some months, and I was running my academic life coaching company full time. And I had just rebranded into my program called Educated. It used to be called Study School, and I rebranded into Educated when in motherhood, I was initiated into like all this sacred feminine work. It really started when I like was thinking of conceiving my daughter, but like once I had her, it was like this entire world of like the sacred feminine just like opened up. And I started to bring in more of that work more deeply into the work that I was doing with women in college, and it wasn't working. Nobody wanted what it is that I had when I rebranded. And at the time, I had completely quit my job as a labor and delivery nurse, and I was going all in into this work with women in college. And we were struggling financially. My husband has a great job. But we had student loan debts, and we had debt from me building my business. I had a planner company for a while, and you need a lot of capital up front to do that. And I was in the middle of a launch in August, and I didn't have anybody enroll into the program. And I was counting on that launch working so that I could continue to be in business and continue to be doing what it is that I wanted to do, and to continue to have income coming in, because I had, invested a lot of money into coaches and different programs to grow the business, and nobody enrolled. And I had shared that with my husband, and he lost it. Now, I don't want you to judge my husband because he's amazing, but he was struggling internally a lot and wasn't communicating that with me. And that was like sort of like the straw that broke the camel's back. And the worst thing, the absolute worst thing that I could think of happened in my marriage. And I know for like most people that's like, oh, he cheated or whatever. No, for me, the worst thing that could happen was for my family and my husband to think that my ambition and my desire to be this like successful woman made me less of a woman, that it made me a horrible wife, and that it made me a horrible mother. And in that conversation, we were talking about how my business is going, and I was sharing, I didn't get anybody enrolled into this program after I had, invested in a photo, like all the things, right? He basically, just like said, that I was like the source of all of his unhappiness, and that I wasn't being like a good mother to our daughter, and that he wished that I would just stay at home and like put the business. So like the worst thing that could happen to me happened. And the reason why it was the worst thing is because like that's how my mother was, and I didn't want to be my mother. Okay. So that happened, and it completely shot any ounce of confidence that I had, just like disappeared. And I care so much about my family. I care so much about my husband. I care so much about being a mother. I care so much about the work that I was doing, that I didn't want to disappoint anybody. So what I did was I retreated, and I started to want less. And I pulled back in my business. I pulled back in that aspect of my life that was so life-giving to me, in order to be a good mom, in order, be a good mom, in order to like be a good wife, in order um, to like love my family the way that I wanted to love my family. But in doing that, I killed myself off. And what was so hard about that was that I was doing everything that everyone was telling me to do on how to like grow, and how to like, be the successful woman who like could manage a family, and like all these things. I was doing it all, spending hours self-coaching, like spending so much money on coaches, spending so much money on like these programs to like teach me how to be a good wife and a good business owner, and like all these things. And it wasn't working out for me. It was causing the opposite to happen. And it then began, what happened was that everything that I thought I wanted, I began questioning it, because why did I want to have $1 million company? I couldn't answer that question at the time. I don't know, because someone said that's what you're supposed to do. That's the goal you're supposed to set. Why was I trying to like be a wife and an entrepreneur? Like, I don't know, because that's like the new way of being like a cool woman. Like, I didn't want to have this like ordinary life. Um, and I thought there was something wrong with me. Like literally, I'm like, Is there something wrong with me? Like, am I going, like, what is happening?" And my whole paradigm began to shatter right in front of me, and unravel right in front of me. And I found myself in the messy middle, in the underworld where nothing made sense anymore. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted. I was like questioning whether I still wanted to be married. I was like, did I make a mistake in becoming a mother? Like, maybe I was never meant to like be a business owner. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Like, maybe this is like not for me. Maybe I'm supposed to just have this like very simple life. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with a very simple life. I'm just saying, like, maybe I'm just, maybe this is it for me. Like, I shouldn't want anymore. And through that process, through me surrendering into it, because one of the things about the messy middle is that you cannot try to fix your way out of it. You cannot try to action your way out of it. You have to sit in it. So I would have all these ideas. I would have all these things that I wanted to do, and all this action that I wanted to take, so that I wouldn't be feeling what I was feeling, so that I wouldn't be thinking what I was thinking, so that I wouldn't be going through what it is that I was going through. And every single time that came up, I would say, no, this is where you're meant to be. So I ended up getting a part-time job as a coach within another company. I didn't want to do that, right? But it's what was required of me in the underworld, right? When Anana goes into the underworld, she doesn't want to have to take off her crown. She doesn't want to have to take off all of these items on her body, but it's what's required of her to enter the underworld. She had to go in naked. I had to shed my identity as an entrepreneur, because now I had a part-time job. I had to shed my identity as this like mother and wife who like had it all together, because like my husband and I were on the brink of divorce, right? I had to shed my identity as being like the girl who was like always on the verge and about to become, because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, right? I had to like shed all of these identities. This is what I mean by like my whole paradigm. Like, I didn't know who I was anymore. Like, this whole time I've been chasing all these goals. Who am I without them? This whole time I was like I was trying to be this version of myself that I didn't even know where it came from. And now now I'm questioning all of it. So I took that part-time job. I started sitting in sacred feminine ceremony every single week, if not every single day. I started with myself every single morning. I sat down and I would be doing these practices and I don't know where they came from. They probably were like just like intuitively guided. I would be doing these journaling practices, a whole bunch of shadow work, like all of these things that I'm going to be teaching you inside of the program. And I found this woman on Instagram. Her name was Amber Renee, and she was talking about Mary Magdalene. And she had this Mary Magdalene sex priestess initiation going on. And this was like the worst of the worst. Like I was ready to like commit myself because I thought I was going crazy. I had like told my husband I'm packing up all my shit. My daughter and I were moving in with my mom. Like it was so bad, y'all. And I found this woman and I like, scheduled a call with her because I wanted to see what this program was about. And I'm like, I have no idea how this is going to help me. I don't have no idea how being a sex priestess is going to help me where I am in my life. But I just want to be in a space where I can just surrender into this. And I just want wherever I am to feel really good right now. I didn't know what the end result was going to be. I didn't know if I was going to stay with my husband. I didn't know if I was just going to completely shut everything down and go back to nursing. Like I had no idea. But what I knew is that I just needed to be and sit with myself. I just needed to go into myself and understand who I was without all these external things. I needed to understand how to create safety within myself without all of these external things because that conversation with my husband, it shouldn't have knocked my confidence the way that it did. But the reason why it did is because I wasn't rooted in who I was. And I needed to be rooted in who I was. And my husband and I, we have done a lot of work. He's done his own men's work. Like we're in a really good spot. We've decided to stay together. Like everything is really, really good right now. I mean, what I call like the being, like all this work that I've done over the 3 years is what has this version of you in front of this version of me in front of you right now. So I go through this program. She ends up sharing an Instagram post of another woman who's called Sarah Jenks, who's one of my other mentors. And she had like a ceremony happening in person that month that I found her. So I like just signed up immediately. I walk into this farm and I'm thinking, I'm like signing up for a cult at this point because they're like, there's like music going and like I could smell the copal in the air. And as soon as I like get up, I start like bawling, crying because it felt like I had done this a million times before. I had sat in these circles with women going through this process of the life, death, and rebirth cycle so many times before. I was a holder of these mysteries in another life. Like that's what it felt. It was a remembrance in every ounce of my being. And for the next 2 years, I was sitting in ceremony every single month, every single week with my sex priestess mentor, and every single day with myself to like develop my own practices. And that is what held me through it. That's what allowed me to get to the other side. That's what allowed my husband and I to be able to have these deep conversations where he could share the real, raw truth of what was going on for him internally without me taking it on as I'm a bad wife or like I'm doing something wrong. It's like, no, this man is also a human, also going through this experience, also understanding how to be a dad for the first time. And there is a little boy in him the same way that there's a little girl inside of me. It's what really like just deepens my love of being a mother and like just understanding like how the mother has been stripped from our society and there's like this nurturance that we were supposed to all be feeling and like have inside of our lives that I now get to give to my daughter. Like I'm still an entrepreneur and it just looks different for me right now. I'm working right now full time as a director of programs for this huge life coaching company that is doing really deep feminist work in the world, helping women to change their thinking, to decondition themselves from what society and the patriarchy has taught us about what it means to be a woman and how we have to live our lives and all those things so that they can become whoever the fuck they want. So I'm doing that deep work and I'm now understanding that all of the work that I've done for the past 9 years with women in college which a lot of it was mindset and emotional and becoming work. The sacred feminine has given me language, has given me myths and stories and real ancient wisdom, um, to go alongside what I have been teaching all along. And I have now emerged, I have come out with that very openly. And like, this is the work that I had been doing all along, but now I understand and have language for it. So that's essentially how I ended up here and how I came to deeply understand these 7 stages that we go through in our becoming process, and how I began to deeply understand what we need at every single stage, the practices, the tools, the ceremonies, the rituals that are necessary in order for us to become. Women have been doing this for lifetimes. We were supposed to be taught this. And like I said earlier, like this naturally happens in nature, and when women give birth, in the moon cycles, in what's happening on with the seasons right now. Like, this was always here. We have just not been attuned to it, and was intentionally stripped, because this is where the magic happens. When we begin to understand these very sacred and ancient teachings, it gives us power. And our society doesn't want us to have power, because when we have power, again, we cannot be manipulated. We cannot be easily swayed. We cannot be easily knocked down. And that doesn't benefit the current capitalistic and patriarchal society that we live in. I want to teach women how to find their power in the messy middle. I want them to understand that this is it. This is where the magic happens. This is where you remember who you are. So that is what the program is. That's how it got birth. And this is why, if you've been in my world for a long time and you've known me as an academic life coach, and I, was talking about study skills, and like now you're hearing me talk so much about the sacred feminine and talk so much about these mysteries and these mythologies and these practices and ceremony, this is the reason why. Is because I remembered that this is the way that it was supposed to be, that we were supposed to be guided and supported and be in community like this in this life process, that we were not meant to do this alone, and that the things that we consider to be hard and uncomfortable and like, if something is going wrong, is actually where the magic happens. The whole point why we're here is to become over and over and over again. And I want you to learn how to love it. I want you to learn how to look forward to it. I want you to learn how to seek it on purpose, how to initiate yourself in your becoming process. So this week, you're going to get a taste of what it's like to work with me. And this is essentially like a mini version of the program, because I know women want this. I know that they need this. And I know that sometimes when we don't know what we're getting ourselves into, it can make us hesitate. It can make us say no, because we don't know what to expect. And I used to tell this to my students all the time. When I was in nursing school, I had a professor who would say, our patients know best when they know what to expect, and people do best when they know what to expect. When you know it's going to hurt, you know what you're getting into, you are expecting it, you have what you need to be able to support you through it. I want you to know what you're getting yourself into, because this is deep work, and it's not going to be easy, but it is going to change you for the rest of your life. And my deepest hope and desire is that you go through this, you learn these life, death, and rebirth mysteries, and you're able to hand them down to your children, especially if you have daughters. We need to reintegrate back into our society the mother, the creator and destroyer within all of us, the one who knows, the oracles, the priestesses, the medicine woman. This work is so needed. And I'm just so grateful that that I've been gifted this knowledge, that I myself have gone through the process time and time again, with the deepest version of it happening within the last 3 years, so I could really understand what this journey is about and what's required, because now I get to share this work with women like you. So if you are interested in enrolling in the program inside of the Circle community, there should be a link for you to enroll. So again, it's $2,000 if you choose to pay in full. It's $333.33 if you choose a 6-month payment plan. And the reason why there aren't any set like call dates and time is because once all 13 women are inside of the program, we're going to decide on the best time and dates for the calls together, so that the most of you who can attend live. I suspect that you're not going to be able to attend every single live session because we all have lives, etc. But I really want to choose a time together so that more of you, like all as many of you as why can I use the words today? As many of you as possible that can attend the ceremonies, the practices live, will be able to do that. And of course, they will always be recorded for you to do them at your own time and date. And then for the one-on-one calls, you will just schedule them whenever it works best for you in my availability. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me either in the Circle community, or you can send me a direct message on Instagram. But this is going to be a really fun week. Tomorrow, for those of you who have not watched the How to Reinvent Yourself in a Year masterclass, I'm going to repost that so that you can watch it. That's our like little assignment for tomorrow, so that you can understand in depth each of the 7 gateways and stages of the process of becoming, with what's required at each stage, because that's what we're going to be going through over the 7 months inside of the program. Then on Tuesday, we're doing a sensual and emotional alchemy practice. And the theme in that is for you to feel into the woman that you want to become. On Wednesday, I believe it's an open coaching call. So it's like a group coaching call. On Thursday, uh, or is it, I think Wednesday is a shadow work masterclass. Thursday is the open coaching call. And then Friday is a Q&A. I may be getting the dates wrong, but like those are all the things that we're going to be doing together. And the reason why I set it up that way is because that's like all the different pieces of what you get in the month, so that you can get a taste of everything and feel into if this is correct for you or not. You know, if you know, and if you know, but you have questions, reach out. I'm not going to convince you to join. I'm just going to answer your questions so that you can feel into it, have all the information that you need to make a really informed yes or an informed no. And that no matter which way you go, you feel complete at the end of this. Like you're solid in your no, or you're solid in your yes. And we journey together for 7 months. So that is it for tonight. Does anyone who is here have any questions? I think there's just 2 of you live. Josie's already in the program, so girl, we'll be journeying together. And then Desiree, who's on as well, has been with me since my academic life coaching days. She used to be one of my academic life coaching companies. But if you guys have questions, you can drop them in the chat. If you don't, just let me know you don't, and then I know that I can end the call. Okay. Perfect, everyone. I hope you have an amazing night. Bye.